So there's another message here. Yes. So, Jill, if you have an access to Exodus 13:17, can you read for us? Fernando
Mhm.
and Charles, I hope you can hear us. Kevin, please say, or Mark, if you can hear, if you can have a sound. It's not clear. Okay. Kevin, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear. I'm trying to find the whiteboard right now.
Okay. So, Jill, the letters are clear. Exodus
Yeah.
13:17. It's clear enough?
Yeah.
Yes.
hmm
Yes. Thank you.
And and it came to pass when Pharaoh had let the people go that God led them not by the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near although that was near, for God said, let peradventure the people repent when they see war, and they return to Egypt. But God led the people about by the way of the wilderness by the Red Sea, and the children of Israel went up armed out of the land of Egypt. And Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had straitly sworn the children of Israel, saying, God will surely remember you, and ye shall carry up my bones away hence with you. And they took their journey from Succoth, and encamped in Etham in the edge of the wilderness. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them by the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, that they might go by day and by night. The pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night departed not from before the people.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So this text, those few verses, what is the topic? What is happening here in those verses? Who would like to summarize this for us? I will draw a little map here and let us all think together why Israel do not go through the land of Philistines. Yes, 1 second. I'll take a pen and I'll draw us a drawing. I'll move a bit to have more space to draw. This is basically here. Let's make it easier. This is basically Egypt. And there's the Sinai Desert. Sinai Desert. And here there's Suez or the Red Sea. Generally, they could go, I take another pen. They could go straight with the shore and rise up to the land of Canaan. This is the way of the shore. Yashar, straight, like a bullet. But what is the verse telling us? Why don't they take the direct course? Why? What will happen? Why do they go through the desert, through the wilderness? Now it's not clear that they will go for 40 years. Why don't they go straight? whom will they meet if they will go straight?
The Philistines.
Yes. And what will happen with the Philistines?
I think they would want to fight
They
or
will
go to war with
fight.
them. Yeah.
They will fight with him. This is not just a historical story. It's about us. Sometimes, if a person goes straight ahead with his target, like say bang into the wall, there's a fight. And a person who leaves Egypt, it's better for him to have the longer way, to cross, so to speak, the wilderness, and not immediately to face a war, because Egypt by itself is the world of duality. And if we go straight from Egypt straight to the land of Canaan, it engage or we have to cross another war, and for this we're not ready. We have to go through the process. To go through the wilderness uh, is a longer process. It's not to shoot targets. Like, yes, it just we need a process. We need to grow. It cannot be that we are lounging, and this is the word, lounging ourselves directly from Egypt to the land of Canaan, to the land of the one. To arrive to the land of the one, we need the process of walking and reflecting and conversing and dreaming, and this is a long process. So Philistine comes in Hebrew, it's pleshet, pleshet, pal, shet. Pal is to fall. Fall, 1 second, I'll write it here again. Pleshet, second. It's in English we say Philistines, but in Hebrew it is pleshet. Pal, pal is like to fall, to fall. Shet, to fall on the lower part. To fall on the lower part, meaning not to go with the head, but with fighting. Pleshet, pleshet. Also, Philistine or Peleshet is invasive. The verb means to invade. To invade. To invade. This is it. So Israel will go through the desert, through the wilderness, through the process. And it's not about historical Israel, but the Israel within us that would like to go out of slavery will go through the process, through the wilderness, not straight, because if it goes straight, it cannot be. This is not process, this is a constant battle. Straight line is also a judgment. When we go directly to the target, without including the zero, the nothing, the speech, the mist, it's bang into the wall, and it will bring fight immediately. And when we want to leave Egypt, we already are tired from fighting and conflicts, and we don't have enough power to pull through. So this is just the beginning, and I ask you to share your reflections or to ask about words in Hebrew, because there are many, many keywords that I would like to discuss with you. But I would like to hear you first, if possible. Charles, would you like to ask something? Fernando, Kevin, do you hear us? I would like also to read with you verse 18. Verse 18. It says, "Vachamushim alu bnei Israel me'eretz Mitzrayim." Vachamushim. The English say here armed, armed, vachamushim, it comes from chamesh, from 5. Chamushim, 1 second. Chamushim from chamesh, 5. Chamushim, chamesh, chamushim, chamesh, 5. It's basically also mean 20%, 1/5. What does it mean that 1/5 are ascending from Egypt? What is 1/5? If we have a full hand perspective, if we have a full hand perspective, 1/5, it means only the thumb, only the potential of us is rising from Egypt. Not the matter, again, not the matter. This we leave behind in the land of conflicts. Only the spirit, wisdom and understanding rises from Egypt. This is the meaning that they came or they went armed from Egypt, but not with weapon, with swords or like people think with tools of war, but with their potential. Do you have questions that you would like to ask so far?
I have a question related to it. It's interesting about a straight line, which also is connected to the pillar and to stand and the
Yes.
judgment. And it is interesting about the pillar of a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. Could you elaborate in the connection between the pillar and then of cloud and the pillar of fire?
Yes, pillar. A very good question. Very good question about the pillar. I'll write the word and give its value here. 1 second. Amud. Amud. This is a pillar. The value of Amud, let's look into it. 70, 40, Vav and Daled are 10. So it is 120. 120. We take it as 12. And 12 in the power of 2 is 144. Is like Adam, human, but also made to choose. Is that clear?
Yes.
Binary gives this, how do I say, formula, but also in the ancient book of the sages. Why do we take 12 in the power of 2? Why it is so important to think in this way? This is one way to write 12 in the power of 2. Another way, and now I will take a little number because it's easier to draw. Let's take 3 in the power of 2. How much is it? 9. I'll draw it. What does it mean, 3 in the power of 2? We take a square, yes, and then we have through rows. I make it beautiful through rows and through here and through 3 columns. In the power of 2, we have a square. In Hebrew, we call it ribu'ah. This is not, in a Hebrew perception, this is not just a geometrical form. This is not just geometrical form. This system also applies on the name of God. How? We have the simple name of the tetragrammaton, Yod. I will move here to give us another space because I was planning to speak to you about it today. We have the name of God, which is written in 4 letters, the tetragrammaton. I will make it with space. The sages speak about the square of the name, Ribu'ah Hashem, or the name in the power of itself. Like we say, 3 in the power of 2 is 3 double 3, 3 in the power of itself. What do they do with this name? And how do they square it? In the following way. They take the Yod and write the Yod not just as itself, but how does it sound, the full pronunciation of us. So they take the Yod and they write it in its full pronunciation. So Yod is Yod Vav Daled. And then they take and write the 2 letters, Yod and Hey, in their feeling, with their full pronunciation. So they write it like this, Yod and Hey. And then they take the 3 letters of the name and write it in their full pronunciation, Yod, Hey, Vav. And then they take the 4 letters of the name, 4, in their pronunciation, Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. And then we have here like a pyramid or square. The sages called it square. And the value of the name is 184. Please remember this number. This is very important. Or those digits in any order. Why? Because the general value of the name is 26, but in its square, like in the power of itself, as I mentioned here, we get the number of 184, and we meet this number in the text. How? The text mentions the request of Joseph. Joseph, before he died, he knew that when he will die, Israel will be enslaved in Egypt. And he asked the people who were next to his bed. And in verse 19 we can see it. Vayikach Moshe, and Moses took et atzmot Yosef imo, the bones of Joseph with him, ki hashbia et bnei Israel, for he had straightly sworn the children of Israel, saying, and here comes the word pakod ifkod, God will surely remember you. Remember, surely. Remember, pakod. Pakod, remember, yeah. Where's the text? Here, pakod. Here we find the word pakod will remember, pakod, pakod, they translate it as remember, remember, and the value of pakod, please pay attention, 80, 104, 184.
Wow.
This is why it was so important to bring Joseph Bones. The English Bible translate the word atzmot as bones, but it comes not just a bone, but in Hebrew, etzem is also essence, the essence of Joseph. The essence of Joseph is the covenant with God. Not bones as matter, but the essence of Joseph. Questions that you would like to ask, or impressions that you would like to share? I hope you can hear us.
Yes, I'm just reflecting on what you just said.
And I can hear you as well. I'm just
Thank you.
listening.
Thank you, Jill. Did you understand why they call it Lurianic thinking or wise people thinking? Do you understand why we always take the square, they call it square, or the number in the power of 2? Do you understand? Why do we take the square? Why did I take? Because everything started from Kevin's question about the pillar. Because I said if we go straight to the land of Canaan, it will bring a conflict. So there's a process,
Well,
but yes,
would
Kevin.
it be, and this I'm just speculating, but would it be that by taking the square, it allows you to see the perspective, a perspective like a frame of reference?
Yes, yes. If we want, this is very interesting. Yeah, the square is a full portion of the process. Like we can say in the square, in a way, we meet the circle. In the square, we can meet the circle. Because we can look at 12 as time, only time, because 12 is we have like 12 months per year, 12 hours. Like it's interesting because pillar is also, and not just 120. Without the zero, it's 12, like the highest number in the clock. So we can take the 12 as expression of matter, the full development in matter, or the full expression of time in the year, 12 months. There is no more than this. But in its square, we move, or we merge from matter to spirit, because 12 in the power of 2, the square, ribua, the square of 12 is 144, is Adam, is human, and Emet, Adam, Emet, human and truth. So whenever we square any matter, we shall reach the spirit. We could say that the spirit is a circle and the matter is a square. But when we stretch the matter to its end, we square the matter, it fuses with the spirit, because they have a meeting point. What we sometimes are not able to see. This is what also yesterday we were speaking about the song here, when the moon is in the seventh months and sorry, when the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter lies with Mars. So when the moon is in the seventh house, the moon is 218. Seventh house, 218 plus 7 is 225. And when we take the root from 225, I'll write it here. 225, we take a root, because in Hebrew it's shoresh, this is a root, we arrive at 15. This is the value of Yah, wisdom and understanding. So it is very important to, and every number is related to a name in Hebrew, and a name is composed of letters, so it's a language of navigation in time. In a way, all of us are locked in time, but there is a navigation system. So why don't we use it? And to your question, why don't we go straight on the shore, the linear way? Because life is a non-linear way. So we also integrate the circle, the wandering in the desert, in the wilderness. But you are right, because though we don't go straight on the shore, still the line is integrated in our journeys in the desert. How? Through the pillar of cloud, through the pillar of fire, like shifts. Yes, yes, there is a line, like in the clock. There is a line. How do you say, the arms of the clock to show the time? This is a line. But the line is integrated in the circle. Now we have, how do you say, digital clocks. Everything is digital. But analogical round clock, it is around, yes, and the arms of the clock are straight or lines. So there is integration. The line with a circle. Not just fully circles and not only lines, but to integrate the line with the circle is to integrate Cain and Abel. Abel is like the circle or the zero or the mist, and Cain is the line. And while we integrate the line with the zero, with a circle, or Cain and Abel, we merge them, we correct them, we have Shet, the third son of Eve and Adam and Eve, from which humanity start to flourish. Because Cain alone, yes, in us also, it is in us. Because Cain alone, what is Cain alone? Cain alone, it's only linear thinking. And linear thinking kills Abel, kills the spirit. It's not just historical phenomenon. It's all the time. Linear spirit kills the dream, kills the poetry, kills art. And then we have just business, but no spirit. And we have only engineering, but no spirit. But the art is to integrate the line and the zero. And the integration comes through Shet. Set. How do you call it? Set. In English, they call it set. I think this is the third son. Set. Yeah. In Hebrew, this is Shet. And from Shet, humanity starts. This is 700. Because Shet, here I'll write it here, Shet is 300, basically 3, and Tav 400 is 4. There is integration in spirit and matter. This is from Shet, humanity starts. Because Cain, after 7 generations, is gone. There is no revival. After 7 generations, the lineage of Cain is gone. Abel was assassinated, he did not manage. This is why we have Shet, the integration of the spirit and matter, line in a circle. If we want to build something, we integrate a line in a circle. We work, but we also rest. Not just life of resting and not just only life of working until death comes, but integrating work with resting and contemplating and thinking and dreaming and all of this. This is how we build life.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Questions? If you wish to ask something, please feel free to ask. I would like us to think of the name Sukkot. Here, the name Sukkot, Hats or Sukkot, appears here in the verse. Before we move to the Middle Ages Haggadah, here Sukkot, where is the pen? Sukkot, Sukkot. Let's open the name Sukkot. Here. Sukkot. $60, $20, $400. Now we shall narrow them only to the digits because it's easier to see. We have 2, we have 6, and we have 4. Or basically 4 times 26. 4 times 26 is 104, or without a 0 is 14, or 1 to 4. This is the name of the Lord. 1 second, the tetragrammaton, here the 1 to 4, basically a full hand perspective. 1 to 4. It's also a mist, Ed, because Sukkot is not just a hat like Pizza Hut or something, like a contemporary housing. It's like a tent. It's something that we can hide from the sun. It's like a hidden place. So it's a place of a secret, basically. Questions? Okay, we shall move to this Haggadah. This is a Haggadah from Sarajevo. Haggadah is a book, a little text which we read every spring to remember the Exodus. This is Haggadah Sarajevo. Sarajevo, Southeast Europe, and I'll make it bigger for us to look. I would like us to look here. What do we see here? If it's clear to you to see, I'm not sure that you see it's clear enough because I borrowed this from Google Museum. Kevin, do you see? Jill, do you see the painting? in the book?
Yes, I can see it.
You see? You see
Mhm.
here the blue figure. I mean, it's not a blue figure,
Yes.
but there, yes, you see. What does he hold in his hand? You see here?
Is it a flag or a rod?
A rod, and here it's written in Hebrew letters, Harem et matecha, please lift your rod and turn your hand on the sea. They copy here a verse from the Bible which says how Moses can open the Red Sea, or how the Moses in us can open the ocean of the sea of time and go to the infinite, to freedom. First, harem et matecha. First, lift your rod, and then turn your hand over the sea. First, we have to lift the spirit. The rod is just a symbol of our spirit. When our spirit is lifted, not like in gravity when people are falling and they're upset. When we are spirited, it is considered to us that our rod is like lifted.
Would
Like, yes,
what is it?
yes,
Could you say like our confidence?
yes, the confidence, the trust, yes, in life. So we're able to stand, we're able to walk. This is just an external symbol, the rod, but it's our spirit. Yes, when we are happy, we just, how do you say, rising from our chair, we're walking, we're happy, we're playing music. There's a spirit. We're not just body. The body is something external, but what moves us is the spirit. So first, he says, lift your rod, meaning lift your spirit, and then turn. The word nete, turn. We can shift. It's like to shift, and shift your hand, yad, um, over the sea. So it's in our hand how to navigate. First, we have to lift the spirit, and then we have to turn or to shift for good, for grace, to shift. The spirit can ascend or the spirit can descend. When people are upset, the spirit is descending, getting heavy. They cannot move.
So
And yes, yes,
so
can.
would you say it's? Would you say? I'm just gonna speak it back to you as I'm trying to understand. But would you say? Is it like when you say to turn your hand over the sea? Is it like to notice um, and uh, look into uh, the time, the understanding of the time of the moment,
Yes,
um, to see to take hold of it.
yes, yes, yes. Excellent.
Okay.
Any question about the drawing? Would you like to ask something? I would like us to focus on another keyword here. This is also the name of the weekly portion that we read in this time of the year. Beshalach, while sending, Beshalach, here, Beshalach. Let us focus in this and we shall understand what does it mean to send. or while sending. Beshalach, while Pharaoh was sending. Beshalach. Bet is 2, Shin 300, Lamed 30, Chet is 8. All in all, 340, like the value of the word Shem. Shem is a name, or we could say it's a word also. So, what or who is sending us out of Egypt? What gives us the green light to go out of Egypt? What
Pharaoh.
awakes us? Pharaoh. But while Pharaoh is sending, yes, yes, but the process of sending occurs when? Or do you understand the question?
Maybe not yet.
Yes, Pharaoh, you're right. Pharaoh is sending finally. Pharaoh is time, basically. Pharaoh has the value of 355, like a lunar year. This is basically time. Shana in Hebrew, Shana, year in Hebrew, has the value of 355. So Pharaoh and time is the same, or the moon economy, the death economy. So time, in a way, is sending us, but through which vehicle? While Pharaoh was sending, Beshalach, while time is sending us, Beshalach has the value of 340, like the word name, Shem. So we are being, time is sending us, but the vehicle of which we are leaving Egypt is the name or the word. Another way to look at it, at Parashat Beshalach, this going out of Egypt, is 340 as 3 and 4. When the Spirit, 3, meets the 4, we have the 5. So 3 again is Shin, 300. I write it here like little. Mem is 40. I write a 0. And He is 5. So we have Moshe, Moses, but also Hashem, the name itself, the word. We are being able to listen to the word and to follow this the theme beyond time. The word is carrying or is carried or is hovering above the face of the water.
Yes.
The word is timeless.
Mm-hmm. Are you speaking of like the chariot of the soul?
Again, yes, yes, the chariot of the soul. Excellent. This is excellent. see what do we have here. If you have questions, please feel free to ask. If there aren't any questions, I would like to share with you a little lore, which is based on one of those verses, verse 19, when Moses by himself taking the bones of Joseph with him.
Please. Thank you.
Joseph, before he died, he swore the people who stand around his bed, and he said this verse, Pakod yifkod Elohim etchem. God will surely remember you, and please carry my bones with you. Don't leave me here in Egypt. This were his last words before he died. And then he died. And there were doctors around him, Egyptian doctors. Of course, he was mummified. And they heard his words, and they were afraid that if Israel will know the place of his burial, they will take his coffin and leave Egypt. Because Israel descending Egypt, they have to live with the coffin of the bones of Joseph. So they were afraid that the sons of Israel will go to a place, rescue the coffin, and leave Egypt, and the Egyptians will not have slaves anymore. So they thought, how can we hide? Because they knew that the freedom of Israel is dependent on the coffin of Joseph or the bones of Joseph. So they thought, how can they scheme Israel, and how can they hide the bones of Joseph from them? Because if we bury a person in the land is not moving. So there's a map, there's a road, take a few miles left, right, there's a tree, there's a location of the grave, people can come and find it. And they thought if we should bury him somewhere, they will know the place and they will find him. But if we put his coffin in the water, and the water all the time are moving, nobody will find him, and we shall have slaves forever. So this is what they do. I mean, they put Joseph coffin, they put it and drown it. It was a metal coffin that it will sink very heavily. They drowned the coffin of Joseph in the water of the Nile, that nobody will find it, and they will have a free labor forever. But when time came and Israel were preparing to the Exodus, and Moses told them, please borrow from your neighbors like dressings and vessels. Everybody was busy to prepare the little packages to leave Egypt. Moses was, how do you say, conceived with one idea, how to find the bones of Joseph. Because he knew that he was put in the Nile, but the Nile is a very long river, few hundred kilometers. How will he find the location? So he was walking on the bank of the Nile to find it. And there was a great person. Her name was Serach bat Asher. Serach bat Asher. She was the daughter of Asher. Asher was the son of Jacob. Serach bat Asher. Serach bat Asher. Serach, daughter of Asher. Serach, daughter of Asher. And she was very ancient lady. She was in the age of few hundred years. She descended with Jacob to Egypt, and she knew where the coffin was put in the water. And she told Moses, here, look in this area. Here they put the coffin. And Moses took a plate of silver, wrote upon it the letters Ale, Shor, rise, bull. He threw the plate, cast the plate into the water, and the coffin of Joseph immediately rose up. It was from metal. It rose up. It's against any logical thinking. And Moses could pull the coffin out of the water of the Nile, and they could leave Egypt. And how was the Exodus? The Exodus was, people do not understand, but the Exodus happened in the daylight. The 10th plague was happening at the middle of the night in the darkness, but the Exodus was in a daylight, in a recognition state.
In the
And
morning, right?
in the morning, yes. And how was the order of leaving Egypt? Joseph coffin or bones in a cascade first. First the coffin, because there's a covenant in it. He kept the covenant. So the covenant, the word of God, is at the front. And then Moses, and then the rest of the Israel. Israelites. I'm not sure that I'm writing this. The Israelites. So first the covenant. What does it mean, covenant? The word of God. This is why the coffin, the essence of, yes?
It's the promise?
The promise. The promise. Yes, the promise. The promise goes first. After Moses, the grace, and then the Israelites. The Exodus is something which is very ordered. It's not chaos. What people thinking it's a loot to leave Egypt. No, a person, and now this is not historical process. This is happening inside of us. When we leave Egypt, this is a sovereign process. There is a beginning, there's middle, and there's end. And this is in a daylight. In it, we are recognizing it. We are not fleeing like Moses fled 40 years before the Exodus. He fled to Midian because somebody wants to kill him. We are not escaping slaves. This is a sovereign process. Questions? So if there aren't any questions now, I would like to wish you a beautiful week, wonderful weekend, happy Exodus. And we can meet here next Monday on Tu B'Shvat. This is a celebration for the trees, for nature. And I shall be glad to share this celebration with you. So Shabbat Shalom and see you on Monday.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Thank you so
Shabbat
much.
shalom. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.